Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Tackling Taboos podcast hosted by the Openreach Ethnic Diversity Network. I'm your host, Stephen Adubafor. I am a project manager in the strategy area of Openreach, and I'm also the events lead for the EDN. And it's my great pleasure today to bring to you four amazing guests that will be discussing one of the probably the most popular topic that we've had in our Black History Month series of podcasts. I'm fortunate to have hosted a number of great discussions in the last few weeks. So if you haven't already caught them on topics such as healthcare, the strong Black women narrative, and many more, then please, we'll have the links in the description below. So please go and check them out. But today's topic is going to be quite a meaty one and quite a popular discussion, and one that's going to go into so many different avenues, motorways, aeroplanes. It's going to take us to a lot of different places, but I think it's one that's helpful. So it's on the topic of hair specifically, and hair in the Black community, experiences, and vice versa, etc., etc. So without further ado, I'll introduce our guests and we'll get straight into the topic. So I'll introduce Elang first of all. Hello.
Hello. So my name is Elang Manang. I am a graduate within Openreach. I'm currently working in Dale as a junior data scientist, and I am based in Liverpool. And a fun fact about me is that I am originally from Botswana. It's a country in Southern Africa, born and raised, and I moved to the UK on my own at the age of 19 for university, and I've stayed here since.
Wow. Amazing story, and looking forward to hearing more from you later, Elang. Thank you so much. Janet, welcome back.
Thank you, Stephen. Hi, everyone. My name's Janet Walker. I work within Openreach as a data analytics coordinator, also part of the EDN committee as a membership lead. Fun fact about myself, I don't know. I really do like cooking, and I've taken part with Yem in a few cook-alongs. But yeah, we really like to celebrate our food at home.
Yeah, I can smell the cooking already, Janet. So if screens had a smell, I know we're all coming out of Janet's screen, and Yemi's as well, to be fair. But anyway, we'll get to the Master Chef later. Joey, welcome.
Hi everyone. My name is Joey Ayonba. Originally from Nigeria. I am a solution architect within digital. And the fun fact about me is that I love. I'm an extrovert. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love to do, the crazy stuff most likely. But the fun thing about me is that I love to do scuba diving and free diving. I'm a certified PADI advanced diver, so I love to do all the deep stuff. Within swim with hammerhead sharks and stuff like that. So pretty much about me, yeah. And also I belong to the EDN community here. Thank you.
Wow, welcome. And yeah, I know we're going to be doing a different kind of diving in this podcast, but it's good to know that we have someone to protect us if we're near water. Thank you so much, Joey. And last but certainly not least, Yemi, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Yemi Adelekon, and I work within HR in Openreach. I'm also the EDN lead for the company. So fun fact about me, I think has to do with food. I'm thinking food, talking food, dreaming food, constantly thinking of recipes, how to elevate them. And I do love my food writing. And I guess the last fun fact maybe is that I was in MasterChef 2022, which was a great opportunity to take Nigerian food and a lot of West African flavors and North African flavors as high as possible, all the way to the semi-finals.
Nice.
Yeah, big up yourself always, Yemi, and I'm sure most of our colleagues as well will recognize you and your achievements. So guys, hair. We have, for those of you who are listening to the podcast, you're just joining us in the first couple of minutes of the discussion. But I'll tell you, off camera, we've been diving into this one quite a lot. So, Elang, I want to start with yourself, just to kind of open up the conversation in terms of your own personal hair experiences, and just when you think of hair in the Black community, what comes to mind?
So when I think of hair in the Black community, I definitely think we all express ourselves with our hair. Like we wear it with pride. But one thing that I really struggled with, especially before I started this job within Openreach as my first corporate job, is professionalism when it comes to hair, because there's a lot of different standards on how Black people should wear their hair to come off as more professional, or there's a certain bias that comes in when you have like your hair in an afro and you come into the office, you know what I mean? So I think I really did struggle with that in the beginning, trying to navigate how do I wear my hair in a way that people will kind of take me seriously, or in a way that people will look at me and think, okay, I look put together in a certain sense. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but I think one thing that I've managed to kind of do around that is just be myself with as authentically as I can. If I want to wear braids. If I want to wear my afro, just trying to kind of navigate that, even though people won't necessarily come to you and ask you or say anything. They do kind of make comments on certain days, like maybe if I'll wear my hair a bit straight, I'll get a little more compliments, or if I wear my hair a certain way, I'll get certain comments. So it's just kind of trying to kind of navigate that, and yeah.
Yeah, that look of perception of, oh, you're more put together if your hair is like, I don't know, quote unquote, neater to certain standards. Like I feel like that plays a big role in the workplace. Like Joey, I know you've mentioned like about like how I guess your like the way you wear your hair, or the way you like do or don't wear your hair kind of plays an impact in maybe like your colleagues. I don't know if you wanted to share more about this as well.
I try. It's a struggle, just knowing that, you go into the office, like you want to be sure that people are comfortable with how you show up, and in as much as we're all coming in to do our job, how you carry yourself from what you wear and how your hair is affects how you feel internally. So I feel good that I have to tidy up. I have to do a couple of things to, make sure that I'm not looking like a crazy Rastaman, But I love my hair, and it puts me in the right space of mind and balance, because I own up that part of. I wouldn't say it's something that I knew I would come into space with, that I could be growing dreadlocks, but because I knew that I've had it when I was younger and I felt good about it, and I thought, why not? Why don't you express yourself in your fullness? And I started the journey, and it's been who I am, and it never stops me from being in corporate. I'm in BT. Just for anyone listening, it's all about who you are. Your skill set is being judged, your character is being judged, but not your looks outwardly, because the industry, corporates are growing to accommodate the fact that people have different ways. You couldn't stop a sheik, I mean the Indian guy that ties a turban, say, why are you, stuff like that. So I think it's all about respect of people, what they choose, and probably it could be cultural or religious, and I've really owned my space, and I try to keep it clean as possible, so that I feel good, and the next person around me doesn't really feel kind of threatened by my look and everything. So it's all about how you keep that balance, within workspace,
And speaking of even like feeling even threatened by the look, because I would even say that like if whether you feel comfortable like as you are now, like with your hat, or whether like your dreads are open, like actually if something like looks good and feels good to you, then like I feel like someone being threatened by it would rather be like their problem than even like yours. And I think like that even leads me to think about some of the microaggressions that exist within the workplace, and some of the questions that people get asked. I know like some the panelists are nodding. Janet, I don't know if you've had like any examples of like microaggressions that people have mentioned, like to do with hair and things like this.
I can.
Is it me?
Oh, we can go Janet first, and then Joey will come back to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can think of a couple. One was recently. I was traveling for a meeting, and so I was staying in the hotel. So it wasn't a colleague that said this to me. I was in the lift with my suitcase going up to my room, and my hair was braided, and there was just me and another person in the lift, and the person commented about how beautiful my hair was, and in the next minute, without any notice or anything, her hand was in my hair. Well, I then froze, because I thought, oh my gosh, I feel so violated. I mean, I know that she was probably doing it from a good place, because she was so mesmerized by the braids, and probably it's not something that she's seen very often. But the fact that she put her hand in my hair and felt that that was okay. And I couldn't even say anything. I just froze because I was not expecting that. It was just after the event, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, why is that something that people feel that is acceptable? You know, so that was one. And then a second one was in the workplace, but this is a long time ago. I was in the office. Again, I had my hair in braids, but it was a different style. And then somebody commented that probably looked like a rasta because of the hairstyle, and then to go on to say that probably smoking that sort of wacky backy or something. And again, no allies, nobody said anything. So it was just, again, you know, sort of taken aback. But I then had to sort of defend myself by saying that's not really appropriate for you to say, because this is my hair, this is how I choose to wear it, and there's nothing wrong with the way that it looks. And sort of, so that was just two experiences that sort of come to mind.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing, and I'll go to Joey in a sec. But that first experience of the touching your hair, that one I've heard. If I had a pound for every time I heard like one of my black sisters, black friends, black cousins say, "Oh, like this person at work or at school is like touching my hair," or like, "Why do they think they can touch my hair?" Like it's been something that I've heard like literally every year or month of my life for as long as I've been in existence. And I'm not even sure if it's one that also happens to like black guys who have like kind of long hair, and maybe like Joey could even shed more on this, but like it's definitely one like for black females that the touching your hair unprovoked and without any kind of barrier to even ask. It's just like it's one that factually happens a lot.
Yeah, from my side, I think my hair has been touched by both female and male, so it's not new to me. You know, people at events, people behind you, oh, I wish I had your hair, or this, that. You know, like for me, I'm used to it. But once they touch, you just have to look first to see, don't pull out my hair. You know, and it's just sometimes they will ask you, you know, like, how do you sleep? You know, how do you style your hair? How you know, like, does it itch? You know, they just ask you some weird questions, you know, like, so, and I respond depending on how I feel, but it's something that I've gotten used to. Like, you always get people that will come to you and try to be curious, you know, like I was in I think I was in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and I went to see where they buried their first king. I can't remember his name. And while getting to the location, you know, you have little kids by the roadside. So there are a lot of things that happen anyway. So first of all, you know, it's a bit too. They are very religious with respect to that side, and having ink on your skin is a bit it's not that common within that side. It's still, they are very conservative and stuff like that. So the kids will come, oh, you've got tattoos and this, oh, your hair, you know, like, and they'll play with it. I was just like, I just drop my head, you know, like I'm tall and I'll kneel down and I'll now let them play. I say, okay, that's enough. So there are different vibes, there are different good times you can get. And also there are bad things that happen with respect to the hair, because there are areas like, for once, I think I've been stopped at the airport and they tell me that this is not you. I said, what do you mean? The hairstyle. What do you mean? It's a hairstyle. I had to pack my hair, you know, so it's just different thing. So I had to actually style the hair the way my passport is. You know, the guys, oh, okay, really? You can do that? I say, yes, it's just the hair, you know. So it's just different experiences and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. And Yemi, I wanted to bring you into the discussion with like maybe even a perspective on like the Black community in general, because I know we're talking about the workplace, but also like some of the topics within the Black community of hair.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I think when I think of our community and the hair, I think, and especially women that are in professional environments, there are a couple of stats or a few stats that I want to throw out there. One of which is that Black women's hair is 2.5 times more likely to be perceived as being unprofessional. And again, who determines what professional looks like? And that's the problem that we have. who determines that this color versus that color is good or bad? Who determines that this hairstyle is professional and not that hairstyle, when these are characteristics that no one actually gets to call the shots on? So then the other thing is that more than half of the Black women that were surveyed in a Harvard Business Review research that they commissioned felt like they had to wear their hair straight in a job interview to be successful. And 2/3 of them actually said they changed their hair for just the job interview. So not feeling like they are able to just go in as they are. And 1/5 of the Black women that were surveyed between the ages of 25 and 34 had been sent home because of their hair. I mean, for somebody to literally between the ages of 25 and 34, so you're not a child, and you're not in primary school that maybe they said you played with sand on the way to school. I mean, these are grown up and they were sent home because of their hair. And 1/4 of Black women surveyed also believe that they had been denied a job because of their hair. And there's 83% Black women are 83% more likely to report being judged harshly because of their looks compared to other women. So when you look at those statistics, they are quite stark. It's sad, really, that people would judge you because of your hair. But one of the things that I really want to touch on is that I think everything, when it comes to hair, how we look, our skin color and all of that, it starts with us first. And I think that as a community, we need to first ground ourselves in and work on our own self-belief and work on our own self-worth, because no one should be able to tell you what good looks like for you.
No.
They can tell you what good looks like for them, and you decide what good looks like for you. And so I think in changing the narratives of our hair and how we're perceived, we first need to accept our hair. We need to celebrate our hair. We need to understand the blessing that it is to have Black hair, the resilience of our hair, the adaptability of our hair. There are things that our hair can do that no other hair can do it. And if only we would lean into those things, then we would realize that our hair is some way to express ourselves that others can only copy and be jealous of.
No, very well said. And even Elang, I saw you nodding along quite profusely as well. And I think, would you even like to share a bit more of your response to this as well?
Yeah, I definitely think having our hair is a blessing, because it is a way to just express yourself, and instead of shying away from or like pushing away what you look like with your hair in different ways to express yourself, just learning to lean a bit more into that. Yeah. And just touching on the topic that Janet and Joey spoke on, just about the comments as well. Sometimes I found that when I do different hairstyles, try to experiment, a question I get a lot after the compliment is that your real hair? And for me, that comment is a bit strange, because no other race gets that question. You know, like a lot of people wear hair extensions. They make hair extensions for different hair types. But why is it that Black people always get that question after a compliment? It makes it feel a little bit backhanded. But I don't let that bother me. I just continue to do as I do. Yeah.
But just even on that point, and this is kind of open to everyone on the topic of like experimenting with different hairstyles, and we know in the Black community, like hairstyles such as wigs and weaves are like quite common. But I guess what is like from you guys' perspective, like I guess the reasons for these, and also like why you think it even plays a part in like how people perceive it or don't perceive it?
Yeah, I could go on that one. I think when I think of hair, so growing up, my father, when I was maybe in primary school and even secondary school, I wore low cuts, complete low cuts. And that was because my father said, you don't have the time to be styling your hair in boarding school. You're there to study. And so my father just pushed me in the direction of chopping my hair. And then it was only when I got to university that I started to like grow my hair on my own. And again, I was quickly faced with the reality of convenience. So I think one of the first things that we think about when we're thinking of Black hair is that our hair needs a lot more care than other hairstyles. There are people that can wake up out of bed and then brush their hair and they're good to go. Our hair needs a lot more nurturing. And so convenience is definitely a reason why people adapt their hairstyle. The weather is another reason why we adapt our hairstyle. So again, if you have really long, really bushy afro, then in summer it can be quite uncomfortable and you might want to put it in cornrows so that the breeze hits it. In the same way, you might not want to wear cornrows in winter where you want your bushy hair to keep your scalp warm. So there's such a range of reasons why we would try different styles. And then the other thing is that for a lot of us that are in the United Kingdom, because of the weather, it's really harsh on our hair.
Yes.
So it breaks our hair. So at certain times of the year, we need to do what we call protective hairstyles. So wear protective hairstyles so that your natural hair is protected during that season, and then you can get back to nurturing your hair. So all of those reasons, from convenience to weather to even how much time you have to style your hair, all of those things play into the different hairstyles that we tend to go for.
Janet, I saw you agreeing. Yeah, please come in.
Yeah. So I was going to say, for me, growing up and as I've gotten older, I didn't have a really good relationship with my hair because normally, I didn't really understand about my hair texture to begin with. So when I reached 17, 18, that's when going to work, etc., I wanted something that was more quick and easy to for hair maintenance. So that's when I started using like hair relaxers to make my hair straight. Not because I wanted to look Eurocentric, but because it was just more for convenience, because as Yemi alluded to, like the weather played a part. You can make, if you had afro hair and you went outside, beforehand, you spent all that time making it look good. As soon as you go outside, and if it's humid or the weather's not great, it impacts on your hair because what was out there now becomes, more stuck to your head. And with the Eurocentric hairstyles, their hair grows out and then down, but ours grows out and it's normally curlier. And we talk about different hair textures for our hair. 1 being the straightest and 4C being the tightest and curliest. So depending on where you stand within that 1 to 4 scale would determine how hard it was sometimes to maintain. But as my relationship with my hair, I started looking into it a bit more and investing more time. I ditched the relaxers, number 1, because when I studied about some of the chemicals that was within the relaxers, I didn't realize how bad they were for us, because there's nothing that's ever mentioned on the boxes or the instructions about the chemicals that are contained within them. But I then learned how to braid my own hair, and during 2020, when all the hairdressers and everything we couldn't go, we were in lockdown. And I thought, well, I'm going to teach myself how to do it because I'm not going anywhere. So if it's a bad hair day, it doesn't matter. I'm at home. So I then learnt how to do my own hair. But then if I want it to look a particular way, I will still go to the hairdressers and so forth. But yeah, so it's having that relationship with you and understanding your own hair and taking that time to know what you can do. And I fully embrace my hair now. So if I want to wear a weave, I'll still wear it, but most of the time it's my natural hair, whether it's in braids or another style.
One thing I want to add there is like my journey to natural hair. So like Janet, I did like what they call jerry curls back in the day,
yes.
or did texturizers, and that was for convenience as well, because then it was like losing my natural curls, and then all I had to put was a gel in the morning, and you're off to uni. But I just happened to be one of those people that had really sensitive scalp. So even if they used a baby texturizer, it would still burn my scalp. And so my first realization was, why do I have to hurt myself by letting these chemicals burn my scalp? And that was my first question to myself. Why am I putting myself through this? And then later, obviously, we all found out that some of those chemicals were so harsh and that the regime or the process of testing wasn't as strict because it wasn't for certain communities. And so I gradually walked away from chemicals on my hair. But then there was still the, okay, so what do? You do braids, which I found inconveniencing because I don't like sitting for too long. And so when I started to make the journey towards wearing natural hair, it was one of the most traumatic things I ever did in my entire life because I was cutting really long straightened hair, and that meant they cut it so close to the roots to get rid of all the relaxed part. And my first thought was, how would I be perceived in my workplace? Then I was in banking. It's like, can I wear a suit and short hair? Can I wear a suit and afro hair? And all of those questions rose up because now I couldn't put my hair in a bun. I couldn't make it look pretty. And so I had to struggle with that internally before I struggled with whatever else the society was projecting. So there was a battle inside, then there's a battle outside, all because of something you can't really control. And so I did what they call the big chop, maybe about 10 years ago, or maybe about 7-8 years ago, just before I left banking. And that was hard, that was traumatic. And then recently, so I grew my hair for the next 7 years and wore it mostly as natural. And then it got so long that it was inconvenienced. It was taking too long to style it. So I decided to go for another big chop. And this time around, it was a lot less traumatic. And I think it's because I've walked that journey of accepting my hair and deciding that if this is the hair that God gave me, I don't give a toss what you think about it. It's my hair, and that's it. You wear yours, I wear mine. Let's do us. And so it was a lot easier to do the big chop the second time because I'm getting to that place of maturity, of loving my hair and loving myself. One last quick thing I want to add is that is some of the stories of slavery that we hear from America where our hairstyles, like women, were able to like plait their hair in a way that had the map of their path to freedom placed on somebody's head. So again, in that time, it was a way of surviving. And I think we've lost the art of what true beauty of African Afro hair and Caribbean hair, like natural Afro, can look like. What our hair can do is phenomenal. And sometimes when you look at like hair show or fashion show, you see black hair at its peak. And a part of me just wants our community to re-embrace and let's kind of make our hair a talking point, not because people are telling us it doesn't look good, but we're showing them just how phenomenal and how great our hair can be and what it can do.
Oh, very, very, very well said, Yemi. Thank you so much. And at that point, and from a historical perspective on slavery, be able to tell messages, stories, as well as the escape to freedom. Like I think all through the subject of hair, I think when you spoke earlier about it being so unique to our community is that says it plainly than anything. And I also wanted to touch on about the representation and even looking forward to like the younger generation and what they see. And I know we've got like parents on this panel as well. So in terms of like for the children coming up, like how in what ways can like we even help to see more like better representation when it comes to hair and actually those helping those younger boys and girls growing up to have a better hair journey than maybe some of the ones that we had.
All right. So on my own side, it's just I used my own experience while growing up and all the it's been a journey. Back home in Nigeria as a young boy, you could have your Bobby Brown or some funny style or whatever that the hair that is trending those period. And I had a situation where I had to own up to grow my locks, naturally, not what people do now. Back in the days, there were no weave-ons, you just have to twist your hair, use brush, just do it and keep on to grow. And my experience was a bad one in the sense that in the church I had to I was about to take Holy Communion and the reverend passed me, and obviously it was because of the fact that my hair. And when I got back home, my mom told me that I shouldn't, because I actually had to cut my hair after that experience. My mom was, not really happy about it, and she now kind of schooled me that, I should be happy, I should own up to how my looks are. Don't let anybody worry you, because you're my son. Your hair doesn't define you. I know who you are. So it's not, so I took on that to imbibe that kind of confidence to my daughter, because my daughter was actually bullied a lot in school. Like literally, they used to tell her that she had a big forehead. I said, what do you mean? You're beautiful. Why are you? You're my daughter. Don't worry about that. Your hair is your hair. Your mom makes sure that you have the best twist or whatever style, or they always get to make fun of her then back in the days, and she will be so moody. Oh, dad, I'm not. She will even lie that she's not feeling well because she doesn't want to go to school and get those kind of abuse from her mates in school. So I had to get her to understand that, like, you are beautiful. Don't care what they say. This is you. You're unique. They don't have what you have. I made her understand that she should be fly and express herself. So she always makes sure that before the week starts, every 2 weeks or so, that's when the cycle to, try and tidy up her hair and stuff like that. So she has owned it up, and everyone, she has a good aura, and people gravitate towards her because she's different in her own way. And her mom actually makes sure that, she could have ribbons or some funny, just to make it a little bit fly and stuff.
Yeah.
So she has owned up to that, and it's not a case. I think she has actually educated some of our colleagues that are not Black about the hair and how you should, know that this is who I am, and this is how you're going to see me till wherever you will meet. So she owns the fact that her hair makes her beautiful and unique, and she's proud about that.
And she's even flipped it into like the what is it, the AI or the tech kind of world, right? You were mentioning.
Yeah. She actually so she oh God, she has spent all my money. Yeah, so with even the new iPhone 16, she's telling me, oh no, that it has more AI. This will help me, design more, make my because she does some programming and coding and stuff. So she invest her creativity in making young Black girls like her look fly, and she incorporates so many ideas, make them super women, and but changes the hair in different themes, and she actually told me that I'm going to make sure that my stuff is going to be sold on Apple Store. That's how ambitious she is, so yeah.
Good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah. Yeah, one thing I think about a lot, especially with the external pressure that comes from obviously kids growing up, other kids like bullying them about their hair, asking them about their hair, is us as like the older generation, what kind of example are we setting to them? Like, I know we spoke about like the convenience of kind of wearing wigs and weaves, which they are convenient based on the time of year, how busy you are, all of that. But I think it also merges into the beauty standard that we're setting for younger Black women, because there's been situations where like people will discuss online like, oh, when it's your birthday, what's the most appropriate hairstyle to wear? A wig, which is like, okay, but what does that say? What does that mean? And how would younger girls perceive that? And I think we're in a generation where people who are in high school and primary school right now spend a lot of time on social media, and a lot of what they see is a lot of what they think is the norm or the right path or the way to go. So it's also about thinking, what kind of example are we setting to the younger generations when they see us not trying to wear our hair the way we want to, being unapologetic and trying to kind of conform and only wear straight hair, only wear wigs. What image does that give them? That's one thing that I think about a lot, which I do think is something that we need to work on in the Black community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well said. And Janet, I know from your perspective, Joey was touching on like some of the experiences that his daughter has kind of faced, and I think like you were speaking kind of offline about also your own daughter's experiences, but also like some of the like harder ways that we've tried to enforce like anti-discrimination with like some of the acts and things. So yeah, I wanted to bring you in as well.
Yeah. So when when my daughter was at school, like certain things that she'd have to take part in, swimming, for example, which is a life skill, so I would never have not let her go swimming. But some of the things that made it a bit difficult for her is that they only have like a limited time after the swimming lesson to get ready to go back to school. So I'd have to make sure that she wore her swimming hat, and I knew in advance when the swimming lesson was taking place so that I could braid her hair so that when the swimming hat was on, if any water got in, it's not going to be a big deal, because the thought of her having to have her hair damp all day because she didn't have time to dry it would have been an issue. When she did dance school, she was doing dancing for about 12 years. Again, everybody had to look the same in terms of having the hair in a burn or in a particular style that they wanted for that particular section of the dance that they were taking part in. So again, always then had to make sure that her hair was braided so it could go in a bun, because her natural hair wouldn't go in a bun and look as tidy and slick as everybody else. So these were just like little barriers. But one thing that I noticed about my daughter is that she's always embraced her natural hair. She's never seen the need to wear a wig or put it in a weave or anything like that. And I've seen her journey of identity over these past 4 years in terms of, so she loves her natural hair, and she understands her hair texture now. She's done all the studies and the research as to what the right products are to use on her hair and stuff like that. So I don't have to bother with that side anymore. The only time that I'll probably get involved is when she wants the hair braided, because I'll do that for her, the singles and so forth. But that part she completely does herself. And I don't know whether many people have seen on the Openreach workplace, but for the past couple of years, I've always put stuff within the EDN about hair discrimination, black hair, World Afro Day on the 15th of September, looking at what hair discrimination is and the barriers that impact us as black people. We've got the Crown Act in America, and so looking about hair bias in schools and education and in the workplace, and also the Halo Code. Michelle de Leon set up World Afro Day movement in September of 2017 in the UK, primarily because of the problems that her daughter was facing, and she didn't like her own hair in 2017. Her relationship with her hair and so forth, and realised that a few people again having the same problems in terms of understanding, about our own hair types and so forth, and why it was important for us to celebrate who we are. So looking at all of that, the reclaiming our narratives is about, setting the record straight about our own hair, that we should embrace it, and that no matter what, whether it's kinky coils, whether it's afro, whether it's braided, whatever it is, that our hair is beautiful, and that we should not let anybody define who we are. Wear our hair however we want, like you say, Joey, with locks or whatever it is. It's professional in any hairstyle. So we just need to celebrate that.
Just want to come in there, Janet, because you've talked about your daughter and Joey's talking about his daughter. So I happen to have two boys, and so which is a completely different experience with having boys. So my boys have never felt the need to like wear braids, which I know they were born in the West Indies, which was quite common for men from the West Indies to like maybe have like cornrows and all of that. But somehow my boys, even though they were born there, they've never gone into that. But when they decided to have facial hair, because we've talked about hair, but facial hair is also a big deal. So when both of my boys decided to have facial hair all the way from the side, all the way down, my first fear was, could they be profiled? Could somebody look at them and say, okay, they must be of this faith, they must be this, they could be terrorists or da. And knowing fully well that they both worked in professional settings, and both of my boys are in finance. One used to work for Rothschild before he moved to another place. But I was a little bit scared as a mother when they decided to start wearing facial hair, because again, it's because of the stereotype. It's because of how they can be seen. It's because of the projections to them, just because they happen to have facial hair. So I just thought it's important to call that out as well. Just because somebody wears beard and all of that doesn't mean that they have criminal tendencies. In the same way that a white guy that has that kind of hair, like Kenny Rogers, is like sexy, and he's like, oh yeah, because he's a singer. But God forbid if it's our color, and then it's something sinister. So I just think it's important to bring that out.
You say that as well, Yemi, about the boys. I remember that my son, when he was younger as well, he used to have really long hair, and I would braid his hair, and it always looked neat. But when he got to the age of 11 and he was going to secondary school, me and my thinking back then thought it wasn't appropriate for him to have braided hair going into secondary school, because I didn't want him to be stereotyped or targeted. So cut it all off. And I felt, when I look back now, I feel so bad for doing that. And he'll often comment just to, just to make me feel worse about how it made him feel, because he really loved the fact that he had so much hair, but I made him cut it off when he was going to secondary school. And so if I had my time again, would I still have cut it off? I don't think I would have done.
Well said. Thank you everyone for sharing, and yeah, I'm sad that we're coming to the end of the podcast and we're gonna have to start wrapping up. But I would say at this point, for the audience and any listeners, like if you do want like a part 2, or if you want to turn this into a live podcast where people can come on and also share experiences live in the flesh, I'm sure like we would all be keen to do that, because I think we've packed a lot into this. I'll call it a burrito of topics, but I think we've only even just scratched the surface on so many of these topics. But I think to kind of conclude, I'll go around the panel to kind of maybe share like one point of like maybe kind of future perspective, or one point that they want to share with the audience to kind of take away as to how we can reclaim the narratives when it comes to hair. And I think I'll actually begin. I think for myself, and kind of me having like a quite short hairstyle, but actually I think more empathy for how long it takes like Black people to actually like fix their hair, to like maintain their hair and things like this. Because even myself, where my hairstyle you could argue is like quite simple, even though I need to see my barber soon. But anyway, I spend equally as long on my hair as I do with my beard in the morning. So I think it's even that consideration, because I can't just get up and people think, oh, you can have a shower and just leave because you've got short hair. But no, I spend a good like 5 to 10 minutes just on my hair, and that's not even considering skin, which is a whole nother podcast we can do on skin. Yeah, me cocoa butter is my best friend. So like, I think just more empathy for like how much it takes for like Black people to make, especially in a country such as the UK, to maintain their skin and especially like their hair. So I think considering that in like Janet, I think your daughter swimming example like really resonates with me in terms of like, yeah, you can't just do these like normal things and then just walk around with damp hair for the rest of the day. So I think just that empathy I think is what we need more within like not the community surrounding us, especially from our allies. And Lang, I'll come to you next.
Yeah, I think mine is sort of along the lines as like where yours was, just giving ourselves a bit more grace. And I think we're all learning as we go. Like we're all trying to unlearn these things that we've been taught, these systematic things that we've been taught, these biases that we know that kind of make us not only have that fear that externally people will judge us, but that internal thing that Yemi spoke about you have to face yourself first before you kind of go out and face other people. So just being a bit more gentle, giving ourselves grace, and also appreciating the fact that we're learning, we're getting closer and better each step of the way. So yeah, that's one thing I'd like to highlight.
Thank you so much. Well said. Janet, yourself? I know you've kind of done a bit of a point, but anything else to add?
Yeah. In terms of the swimming, that was something for me that I didn't really like going swimming myself, because of like with the hair and the chlorine and so forth, destroying our skin. But I do go swimming now, and I do take part in swimming only because they do these solo caps now. I don't know if you can see it on the swimming cap. So whether you've got a lot of hair and it's braided or whatever, it completely protects your hair, so it doesn't get wet or anything like that. So that's a plus that people are listening and they are improving the things that they do to make life better for us as Black people. So thank you.
So thank you for the prop as well. I wasn't expecting that. Joey, for yourself?
Yeah, for myself, I think it's a bit of a struggle to even have locks because of my lifestyle. I will mention just maybe 3 scenarios. First of all, to have dreadlocks to do deep sea diving, I have to protect my hair because of the salinity of the sea. And I'm into fitness, and I sweat a lot when I'm doing my power sessions. It's not easy to, try to keep that balance, to keep your hair clean every day. You go to the sauna, is even worse because you have to get out, go home, shower your hair, and this thing is too expensive to maintain. So it's a bit of, I think I've learned the balance about it, and I think probably if there's anyone listening that will find a way to support people with locks and how they can actually manage their hair properly if they are living an active lifestyle like me, and I find ways I can manage it. But if there's anybody listening that can give us bit of ideas on how we can actually live more comfortable, because it's really stressful to have locks. It's not just it looks good and stuff. It's really hard and expensive to manage and maintain. Yeah.
Audience, you've heard the call to action. So yeah, if anyone in the community can help out Joey, then please do. And last but certainly not least, Yemi.
Thank you. I think I want to just use the opportunity to drop one last thought around microaggression in the workplace. We're all curious about each other's hair, but the average Black person would never ask to touch somebody else's hair. We look at it, we have our questions, we move on. And that's because we recognize that it's part of respecting the other person, that we do not cross that boundary. It's dehumanizing to ask whether somebody's hair is real. It's dehumanizing to touch somebody's hair. And even when you touch it with permission, again, why do you feel the need to? So I think we can all we appreciate that you love our hair. We appreciate that you're fascinated, but God knows that we're also fascinated about your hair. So mutual respect in the workplace will just help go a long way.
Absolutely.
It's microaggression. It's why we don't do it. And I think maybe because we're recipients of that behavior, it makes us much more aware not to do it to others. So just dropping a last word out there to say, curb your enthusiasm. I think there's a TV show called that.
No, well said. I think that rounds it back off nicely into a open reach BT kind of perspective as well in the workplace. I think that's a good point to finish on. So thank you all, first of all, panelists, for your views, for your insights, your passions, everything you said. Like I said, I really feel like we only just scratched the surface on each of the different areas, but I think you shared a lot of great insights as well. Thank you to the audience for listening, and please also share your views on any of the topics that we highlighted. There'll be a comment section below. Whether you're listening on Workplace or on YouTube, please just share your thoughts, any further questions that you've had. Honestly, we want to let this be the start of the conversation that continues to grow and build. And yes, please continue to tune into our different Tackling Taboos podcasts on various different topics, and please also feel free to suggest any more that you'd like us to do. But yeah, thank you for the Black History Month podcast that people have featured on and listened to as well, because this will be the last one for this month. But of course, Tackling Taboos will continue monthly going forward as well. So yeah, it's been my pleasure to bring you this podcast this afternoon or whenever you're listening to it, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.